All right, everybody. Hope you're doing well this evening. Welcome to Dudes Talking State of Disunion with Billy Ray Valentine. I have with me, for the first time ever, solo on a Dudes Talking episode, a very, very close personal friend, an excellent researcher, Billy Ray Valentine from the Infinite Fringe. How you doing this evening, brother?
I'm doing excellent, man. You are much too kind. I want to say what's up to everybody here at We've read the documents. Thank you for having me, man. Let's do this.
Yes, of course. I'm very thankful to have you. Of course, yesterday you joined us for our Biden-Trump first roundtable discussion, and watching it was about what I thought it was going to be. Circus for the masses. Trump said some things that I agreed with. Biden said some things that I agreed with. But they're both pieces of human garbage. The voting for the lesser of the two evils, and that argument, you're still voting evil. And there's a lot of truth to that. So this evening, I want to play a little clip from Days of Noah, and then we're going to discuss it. But what did you think of the debate last night, Billy? Since you've had a day to think about it and to ruminate.
It wasn't a debate. That wasn't a debate. I don't know what that was, man. It was a car crash, man. It was a splitting image of what America is right now. If you looked America in the mirror, that's what would have come up. And it was a damn shame, to be honest with you. But we need to be honest about this as a people, right? And see what went down. And as much as the Democrats and Joe Biden have done a bunch of bad stuff throughout the course of time, the reason that this debate, quote unquote, went to hell in a handbasket ASAP was because of Donald Trump. I think he was an open book last night. We can see exactly what this dude is about and peer into his mind and look at the mental illness. Something seriously wrong with him. And then you see something seriously wrong with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's called age. And he's getting older.
He did have a traumatic brain injury.
Right. So yes, he did.
Would cause eventually his dementia, plus his age is definitely there for sure.
Right. So there's that. So this is what we have to look forward to for the next 4 years. You pick. This is what we have. I've a long time ago, I took myself out of this argument because I realized that it didn't benefit me. It didn't serve me in any way, shape, or form. So I got out of it. So now other people will choose, but I can't be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm not voting. I read to you earlier a letter. I wish I would have brought it in here, that I got signed by Trump, supposedly.
Good for you.
It begged for money 3 times. 3 times in one letter. Begged for money of how bad the Republican National Party needs the money, and it was insulting. It was really, had all the platitudes. We must stop the liberal Democrats, sleepy Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and look, I'm no fan of them at all in the slightest bit. We're going to discuss both sides this evening, obviously, because that's what it boils down to. Is people are given a choice between a slightly less piece of shit and a piece of shit, and you can, depending on what side you lean, would make the argument that Trump is a slightly piece of shit or Biden's a slightly piece of shit. And the thing is the world order is behind these people and are still marching on. It doesn't matter who's elected at this point. You and I have been... Okay, so let me ask you this, Billy, since we have you on. When did you wake up to the world order? When did you wake... Because I woke up, and I've mentioned this in 2008. Late 2008 is when I woke up. So when did you... You've been researching this for a while, right?
Yeah, 98, but a very, very hands off on 98. I did surface level research for that. But then after 2001, after September 11th, that's when it got knocked into my head at about 2005. So that's my starting point, was 2005.
And that's when you learned, that 9/11 was an inside job, and
Yeah, man. And you learn everything else. What's up?
You go through, you go through the levels of the Truther Industrial Complex. Alex Jones, Bill Cooper. You never hear about the Council for National Policy or the John Birch Society and what they've been up to. You only hear about the Murray Strong, which is now George Soros and Bill Gates. And you only learn about that side of things. The Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, which now have been replaced with the Brookings Institute, and the Atlantic Council. And the Atlantic Council both has both the right and the left in there, which is very interesting. But you see the rise and the fall of these different groups, and once you learn one, they move to another. So...
Yeah, I was fully indoctrinated, brother. I went through all the steps, like you mentioned, right? So, I was fully indoctrinated by the mainstream media because I thought Osama bin Laden did it right off the bat. And then when I quote unquote woke up, for lack of a better term, I went straight into the other woodshed that they want us to be in, and it was Bilderberg and Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. That was as much as they wanted us to see. And that's as much as I saw. And that's what I thought we were operating with. And come to find out, there's a whole nother side way later. It's all compartmentalized. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? And who knows at this point what else will be revealed. But we were lied to by the mainstream media, and we were lied to by the alternative media in the process. And that sucks.
Yeah, very much so. I'm gonna play this Days of Noah clip for the both of us. I hope he doesn't mind, just to really give the right left paradigm, and see how bad it truly is. He really gets it here. So I'm gonna play this real quick for us to listen to, Billy.
And I believe 1996. So enough is enough. And I think we're almost there. We've already heard it. We've already heard them say this. We've heard it from the right. We've heard it from the left. Enough is enough. Like, we have to change. Everything has to be uprooted. Everything has to be reset. Right? Very, very interesting. Wow, we've been on 30 minutes already, and I haven't gotten into any articles yet. So let me get moving here. Well, again, let's just start. Actually, where should we? Let's start with some articles. So, what do I got here? Now, what do I believe we're dealing with here? And I've done some shows on this before. What we're dealing with in the form of Black Lives Matter and Antifa, in my view, we're dealing with something called a color revolution, which is a type of domestic...
Which is true. No one here's disputing that. You're not disputing that, are you, Billy Ray?
No, I'm not disputing that. But I would like to see, it wouldn't surprise me, but I would like to see some direct, hardcore evidence of George Soros funding all of this, because it's getting out of control, right? And everybody's like, oh, it's automatically George Soros. These people don't know a damn thing about George Soros. They just say, oh, it's him. He did this because he's linked to whom and whomever. And I know he's done this in the past, and he's probably the number one suspect. But we can stand to get some real evidence on this stuff, and we should look to try to find that evidence to make the appropriate connections instead of just talking out our asses.
Well, the Open Society Foundation is funding a color revolution in Belarus right now. I've seen the documents. I've read the documents about that. That's very much proven. I do believe the basic conventional conspiracy narrative, and even though some people who are awake to the in truth or industrial complex like Recluse, for example, you could still, you know, it's probably true. I understand what you're saying, that you wish there were more people dwelling on it, and you know, less people. And even Days of Noah talks about it here. You know, it's front page news on Fox News. You know, you got Tucker Carlson, you know, dedicating shows to it. You know,
Right.
but that doesn't mean it's wrong.
No,
But
it doesn't.
but it's my belief, like Days of Noah here, that it's to set up this division, and it's to destroy the truth movement by getting us arguing about this. You know,
and it's happened.
yeah, it has. Let's continue.
Terrorist. What's also called unconventional warfare. It's a type of clandestine domestic terrorism where the government supports a type of insurrection within its own country to bring down its structure, to bring down its entire society, basically, for a type of restructuring, right? So what we're seeing today is something similar. We're seeing these groups that are actually promoted by the government, but what they'll do is they'll give us a dialectic. They'll give us a pro-left, pro-Antifa, pro-BLM, which is the insurgents, the insurgents group, right? And then, of course, on the right, we'll have them be anti that, and they'll have their group like Proud Boys or whatever. But both of these groups represent a type of negative, or should we say, an extreme. They both represent an extreme, and what they're doing here is a type of, they're creating a synthesis through these extremes, right? So this is, you know, the type of controlled problem reaction solution situation. So the goal is to create a new system by tearing down the system internally. And what I found interesting was that the news has been talking about this. Now, I've been talking about this. Several other channels, I believe, have been bringing this up. This has been a discussion in the more academic truth communities for a while now, that this idea of color revolutions, because we've seen this happen, and America creates color revolutions in other countries to bring down regimes. George Soros is probably one of the most successful investors in color revolutions. And we understand he's also invested in Black Lives Matter. So we see the connections there. Now, what's interesting is the mainstream media has been bringing this idea out. And that's funny because they always, anytime the truth community brings something up, let me pull up this article here. See if I could do that. Oh, I guess it's, hold on one second. Here we go. So the right has been talking about color revolutions, even on Fox News. But what's interesting is they never really go all the way in with the information, right? They always kind of like subtly mention it or give you some very basic point, but they don't really explain and describe what's really going on. They don't describe that there's so many levels to this type of unconventional warfare. They play both sides, right? And that's what they don't explain. So you'll notice that they'll start to use our language.
Any thoughts on that, Billy?
Oh, well, I think it's absolutely right to do play both sides. And that's why we find ourselves in the position that we are right now. But unfortunately, somehow we've been incorporated into both sides, which wasn't a phenomenon in our circles before. It wasn't something that was regular. We were all detached from the process. We weren't pointing at the Democrats, as or we weren't pointing at the Republicans. We were pointing at both of them. Mm-hmm. And we had figured out a way to get out of this loop that we call the left-right paradigm. And with the election of Hillary Clinton in 2016, if that were to have happened, we would have been in a lot better position because, it would have solidified that we didn't have a choice and at status quo and all that other stuff. but then Donald Trump got in, and that completely changed everything. But I never thought that it would change our community as much as it has.
Yeah.
I never thought that I'd be arguing with people that not too long ago would not subscribe to the nonsense that we're subscribing to now, would not point at the Democrats and call them the deep state and call them the quote unquote the elites, the Illuminati. That it's them, it's the Democrats, according to this new narrative.
And only selective Republicans that are against Trump.
Right.
Like
if
John
you say
McCain.
anything bad against Trump, yeah, or George Bush Senior, if you say anything bad about, or George Bush now, actually the junior, if you say anything bad about Trump, then you get categorized in that circle. But I never thought we'd be here to the point that we are now, divided, and that's the name of the game. And they've completely divided us to the point where, after such a disgusting appearance by Donald Trump, man, what a debate, if you want to call it that. But I mean, what a fully on display his immaturity as a person, probably a 10-year-old in the mind, and they're still finding a way to justify this. I don't understand it personally, and that's where we find ourselves now. It's a genius move.
Now, you and I disagree about the intelligence quotient of Trump, but I do agree with you that Trump does deal with arrogancy.
Well, I mean, John,
and
listen,
narcissism.
after last night, buddy, after last night, what are we supposed to think here? Who does that? What rational person does what Donald Trump did last night?
Someone with an IQ could still do that. Supposedly, my good friend watched Chris Christie, who was supposedly Trump's debate coach. Jared Kushner
Right.
and Chris Christie was his debate coach, and Chris Christie was on ABC. And it's very interesting that both of them were Trump's debate coach, because Chris Christie put Jared Kushner's father in prison, and Kushner hates Christie, but fine, whatever. But the interesting thing about that is Christie was like, well, Trump was, like a bull in a china shop. You can fix that, but you can't fix Biden stumbling all over his words and having dementia.
Well, I mean, he's right. You can't fix Biden, at least not with science that I'm aware of. But I would disagree about fixing Trump. Trump is out of control. Out of control. Nobody told him to do that last night. So this is what we're dealing with here. He's out of control, and he's like a toddler having a tantrum, and you cannot stop him. But it's amazing, because early on during the presidency, we would say, you know what, Trump is Teflon. He can do just about anything, and no one would give a shit, meaning his base. His base won't give a damn. They'll just accept it or do some mental gymnastics to try to rationalize what's going on and keep right on moving. Well, now it's all but proven. Look at this. Like he had a hissy fit on television. And completely, turned right now the debate, the Council of Debate here in the United States for presidential debates, they're looking to remake all the rules because of this performance.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to make a difference with his base. They will still support him.
And you and I have had that discussion. It's, remember Trump made that argument. Was it Trump that said that he could shoot somebody out in the street and people would still vote for him? Did he say that, or did they say that about him?
I don't remember, to be honest with you, but I do remember that quote, but I don't remember if he said it. I think he might have alluded to something like that.
Yes. He said at a campaign rally in Iowa around January 2016 that he could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody.
Yeah, no, he said that
and
for
not
sure.
lose any
So there you go.
voters. So.
Well, he might be right after what just went down, and nobody seems to care. We've spoken about this, and I feel that if the election took place right now, Joe Biden would win. And I think Trump is in very big trouble right now. Very big trouble of losing this election. Let's see what happens between now and then, because Joe Biden can't control himself either. So let's see what kind of nonsense comes up between now and then that might change the dimensions of this election.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think it's going to be a hard battle for Donald Trump to win a second term.
Gelos in the chat said a house divided. It's true. We are a house divided. We're a nation divided. We're a truth movement divided. A population divided.
Was that Gelos, you said?
Yes.
Well, Gelos is absolutely right. 100%. And that's the goal. See, that's the end game, right? Because, and I say this often on almost all of my shows, but it's the truth. So it's the most solid truth that I know of. If we come together, all of this falls apart. But they know this. We don't. And they've continued to divide us like a pizza pie, just chopping us up in every which way and form. Like I said it yesterday, through gender, through race, political affiliation. And now in the alternative movement, they've divided us. So as long as we're divided, we're never going to come together, and we can never win. And that's the whole deal here.
Yes. That's good.
They'll start to use different terms that we use to circumvent the influence that we have on the general population. Ultimately, that's the goal, to create more confusion. It's kind of like counter propaganda, right? Culture jamming is another example of this. So it's interesting how they're actually talking about color revolutions now. Fox News and other conservative media began circulating a new talking point late last week in the ongoing effort to sow doubt about the upcoming presidential election, warning that Democratic operatives and government insiders are plotting a color revolution to overthrow Trump in November. So this is a dialectic here. And again, this might be kind of obvious to some of you, but I still think we should discuss these things and kind of give it some structure. What the dialectic here, of course, is Trump versus the people, right? That's, in a sense, that's the dialectic they're trying to create. And everyone who stands with Trump is of the old guard, and everyone who stands on the left or on the progressive or green or environmentalist or Agenda 21 group is the new guard, right? So it's this new guard versus old guard, and the old guard has to be perceived as obsolete and even hateful, right? This is why we're seeing white supremacy, capitalism, chauvinism, racism. This is why we're seeing all of these different negative ideals being put on Trump's shoulders, and Trump is essentially the red herring. If you go back to my 2016 videos on Trump, this was the argument I was making then, and it seems to be the case that this is all played out close to some things that I had mentioned. And basically what they're really trying to do is destroy both sides. Now, I don't have a problem with destroying extreme leftism. And I don't necessarily have a problem with destroying false conservatism, because that's what the Republican Party is. It's actually, they're just classical liberals, if you really want to get technical. But it's not conservatism at all. And so it's just this feigned version of conservatism. And so I don't have any problem getting rid of both sides, but what they're doing, and it's very clever, and this is how these types of dialectics work, is they lump in things that are important for the structure of a healthy society, things that are important for the sovereignty of the individual, things that are important for nation state and nation states to exist and nationhood to exist, things that encompass or things that represent these ideas, they lump in with it. And one of the main things they're doing is lumping in Christianity. They're lumping in Christianity, and they're lumping in Americanism or nationhood, right? This the identity of belonging to a specific nation. Now, I understand what America is, being a project, being an experiment, but nationhood is extremely important if you are trying to create some type of boundary.
Any final thoughts on that, Billy?
Man, it's extremely compelling arguments, right, that the dude is making. And nationalism, right? And that's where that was the whole defense against globalism, right? And I remember when I used to listen to Alex Jones back in the days, the globalist, the globalist, the globalist. You know, he still does that now.
Yeah.
You know, but the only thing is,
check on.
yes, exactly. You know, and nationalism is the answer, but this is weaponized nationalism. You know, and just so many things have been weaponized. You know, our thoughts have been weaponized, but this is weaponized nationalism that we're seeing right now, in order to manipulate via emotion. Emotion is the big deal here. That's how you best manipulate a person, is through emotions. And with this nationalism thing, they've been able to do that. All you have to do is look at the mainstream and see what's going on here, and how they're pulling and pushing you via emotion. That's it. That's and it's difficult to not fall into emotion, to not watch the television and not get triggered by Donald Trump, or not get triggered by Joe Biden, or not get triggered by your favorite, I don't know, personality on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, or the other dude on CNN that you love so much,
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
CIA Anderson Vanderbilt. Oh, go ahead.
Right. You know, so that's the whole deal here. That's the whole deal. And while nationalism could be a good thing, right, at this point it's become hyper nationalism, and anything with the word hyper next to it is not good. Too much of anything makes you an addict, right, is what they say. Not a good deal. So you need to temper it back, and we need to find a balance. And we are completely out of balance here. And that's why we find ourselves where we are today. It is a problem.
Yeah, I can agree. It's that false dialectic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got people, between in-your-face Bolshevikism, which you see with the extreme left, and it's like an adversary coming at you with a knife in the front, but Trump and the CMP and the John Birch Society and the people that fall in with that lot, the classic liberals, like Gary Allen said, the guy who wrote An Underground Conspiracy, on a speech to John Birch Society to the Fabian Socialists. Of course, he was an advisor to the Hunt family. They are the adversary with the knife behind you. They are the Fabian Socialists. So it's like, okay, so do you want an adversary with a knife, in front of you, coming with you a knife, or do you want one that you can't see coming at you from the back with a knife? Which one do you want? And that's the dialectic that we have us in. They have us believing now that Trump is the only president of the United States, that he's the God Emperor, that he is for us, okay? And they have us believing that the Republicans, the ones that have aligned themselves with Trump, not the never Trump Republicans like Collins or Murkowski or Romney, but the ones that have aligned themselves with Trump, they're fine. They're the good ones. They're the good ones.
Right.
And that's a major problem, because if this was only 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, let's say 2014, the truth movement was pretty much united that they were all fucks. No matter who they were. Except we had maybe some hope that Rand and Ron Paul might be our guys. Spoiler alert, they're not. So, I mean, look, it is what it is. All right, Ron Paul, Rand Paul. And you interviewed Ron Paul and you asked Ron Paul the question. Big props. Big props, Billy Ray.
I remember voting for Ron Paul. It's the only time I ever got up my ass to go vote. And he motivated me to do that because regardless of what he may or may not be, he was as honest as I can tell from the crop of politicians at the time, and even after. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to vote for Ron Paul. And I went ahead and did that, and of course, I mean, I never thought he would get elected, but I did it anyway. It was because I felt there was something there. And I didn't agree with a lot of what Ron Paul had to say. Unfortunately, when I did interview him, I asked him about the CMP, and he dodged my question pretty much. Actually, he lied to me.
Yes, he did. He flat out lied to you.
Yeah, he completely lied to me. And now I can see that, right? I can see that after what happened to Rand Paul, and I specifically asked him that question. I think, doesn't your son have involvement? Didn't your son speak in front of the CMP? And he's like, I don't know. I think that's what he said. I don't remember exactly.
And then he was like, I think I spoke to them once or twice back in the 90s, even though we know he was a member.
Right.
It's so funny, but continue. I'm sorry.
No. You're good. But that's the issue here. Like, I didn't think I would be lied to. We spoke about it off air, you and I, and I was like, no, I mean, of course he'll answer the question. But he didn't, and then you have to start to wonder why he didn't, right? That's the next step. Why did he not answer the question? Why did there have to be some secrecy behind it? It could be something benign, but it could be something nefarious as well. Jury's still out, but it's not good, in my opinion.
Jury's still out for you, not for me. Now, that being said, I wish Mr. Paul a speedy recovery.
God bless him.
Yeah, he had a what appears to be a trans ischemic attack, mini stroke, a TIA. So I want nothing bad to happen to Mr. Paul. But that being said, I still, he's a Mason, Council for National Policy member. I mean, what am I supposed to say? So last night, one of the biggest things that people seem to have glossed over, especially because of all the theatrics and everything that was going on, was something that I picked up very strongly because this is something that's very important to me. I am not thrilled at all in the slightest bit about and I've talked about this on your show, America Unplugged, Billy, that I am not a fan. I will say it's downright dangerous. The coronavirus vaccines that are coming out that are using mRNA to make your own ribosomes produce coronavirus spike proteins as proteins to present itself on your own cells to train your immune system about the coronavirus. A vaccination like that has not been used previously beforehand in human beings, has not been approved. It's got me worried. Does it got you worried?
No, you should be worried. We should all be worried. I mean, even the mainstream is worried about it. They've come out and said on CNN, and I'm assuming on other news networks, but on CNN they've straight up come out and said it, that they questioned the legitimacy of any of these vaccines. And you have to agree with them, right? And they're probably doing it for political reasons.
And the false dialectic, too.
Right, right. But regardless of that, I think that's something we can use, right? If they want to politicize it and condemn it live on television, we can use that and not look like nutcases because we don't want to take this vaccine. Plus, the majority of the American public don't want to take the vaccine because they're aware that it takes, anywhere from 7 to 10 years to come up with a vaccine that's effective, if that.
Test it properly, get it into production.
Right. The whole deal. And it still may fail. It still may fail. They still don't have a vaccine that works for the first coronavirus 18 years ago.
SARS-CoV-1.
Exactly. So they still don't have anything for that. So what makes us think that they're going to have something for this that's effective? Clearly, it's been politicized. And here we go back to Donald Trump. Wants to push it out, wanted to pump it out at all costs as soon as possible because he thinks somehow it's going to reelect him. It's going to get him reelected. Mm-hmm. And he wants to have this vaccine. And now we spoke about off air him alluding to the military and their role in handing out these vaccines.
Yeah. And Trump can keep saying all he wants to Oh, it's not. It won't be forced upon you. It won't be forced upon you. But we do know that there are other countries who are working with us with Operation Warp Speed as well. Like Israel, for example. Supposedly the United States denied Russian help. Supposedly. But I mean, we'll see. Russia supposedly had a vaccine, and I think it was Putin's daughter that was giving a coronavirus. I mean, saline coronavirus shot. Sorry about that. And just like when Ivanka was like, "Well, I'll go on, live on air on what's that show?
On The View or something.
On The View,
like
yeah, and take a shot. She's gonna take a coronavirus saline coronavirus shot. Sorry. So it's ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous.
Right, ain't nobody taking this vaccine, and this is a good thing for us. Like I said, we need to try to flip these things, right? Like work within the machine in order to break it. So we need to try to, make these things work out for us. Make lemonade out of lemons. And if these two factions of the world order are going to fight themselves over power, and they're going to start exposing how the vaccine may not be effective or not be healthy, then I'll run with that part of it. And as long as we don't have to take it and we can just...
Well, you won't run with them. You run with that narrative is what you mean.
Exactly. That part of it.
Yeah.
I'd run with that. And for the good of us, we have to take every opportunity that's available to us. We can't pass it up. If the Lord hands us something, we have to use it. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So
Sorry.
You're good. When I see this on television, and I see that they're openly questioning these things, it brings me joy because it's an opening for us.
Yes, I have to admit that them questioning the vaccine, it actually does have some liberals actually questioning science, TM. Trademark science,
right?
That I've never seen. One's being like, well, Trump's making the vaccine, therefore we can't trust it. Did you ever think you would see that? I never thought I would see that. Ever.
Nope. Right.
Ever. So,
I never thought I would, man, but it's out there now. And that's one of the positives in all of this, because they're fighting each other. So anything that Trump does, they're going to fight it. But to be honest with you, they're right on this. Nobody wants to take this vaccine. I mean, who the hell knows what the hell is in it or how it's going to be effective when nothing has ever been done like this in our lifetimes, not only in our lifetimes, I think in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
They've never developed anything like this. And for a virus that may or may not be as deadly as they made it out to be initially, there's no real need to take this vaccine.
Yes. Very much so. Not with the death rate and the infection rate. Even if they had a standard inactive coronavirus vaccine, standard inactivated or attenuated coronavirus vaccine, there would still be no use to take it. Anyway, especially with it being rushed, there would be no need to take it. And so, this experimental messenger RNA vaccine, no. My family and I will not be getting this thing. So let's play a little bit of the debate last night to get Trump's opinions about it, just in case some people may have missed it.
Either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words. But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said...
Which, by the way, Slaoui was the former head of GlaxoSmithKline vaccine department. He retired in 2017 after working there for 30 years. And he's working as a quote-unquote contractor for the government in Operation Warp Speed and will not give up his vested interests in Moderna, for example, where he has stock options worth $10 million. He won't give those up, while Moderna is currently working on one of the coronavirus vaccines that I believe is in stage 3 trials. The one with AstraZeneca had 2 cases of transverse myelitis. It's an autoimmune condition that attacks the central nervous system and causes paralysis, among other things, on both sides. That's what transverse means. Sometimes it can happen in different quadrants of the body as well. Some people can't walk. And though it can be reversible if caught early and treated with corticosteroids, usually that's seen in cases of transverse myelitis that are caused by infections. And they're still saying to this day, AstraZeneca is going, well, you know what? It wasn't because of our vaccine that 2 people got an ultra-rare disease. Well, AstraZeneca, you're lying. You're lying, and it's bullcrap. All right? So, yeah, sounds good. It sounds really good that this is going to be coming. Even if this... Okay, let's say that they're not going door-to-door. The military's not going door-to-door giving you the vaccine. Okay? And Trump's right when he says that that won't happen. Well, what if you needed to require to get on a plane, go across state lines, go to work if you have a government job or not, go to school, go to university? That is not as bad, but it's still bad. It's still a problem.
I mean, that's the way to get it done. If people will revolt.
Yeah,
that's the thing. There's soft slavery and hard slavery, right? I say it all the time. Also, people will revolt if people are going if the military goes door to door and try to give you vaccines. They're going to have to see people dead in the streets in order to just roll up their sleeves and take it. Mm-hmm. If that happens, if they see people dead in the streets, there might be a possibility where the American public just says, give me the vaccine. I don't want to deal with that. Other than that, they're going to have to find some other way to get the vaccine into you. And they've been very, very successful doing it the other way, not forcing you, just kind of forcing you, which is forcing you, but not through a physical means where they're dragging you out of your house so you can get them. They're forcing you to do it because you want to do things like keep your kids in a public school, or you want to go visit your grandmother in Colorado, and you're going to have to get it in order to go there. That's the thing. You want to go to the Super Bowl, and they're expecting full capacity this year for this year's Super Bowl. I think it was DeSantis that said it in Florida. So, I mean, you want to come in here, right? We're going to take your temperature. And, let's say they have a vaccine available. Go over to that hut over there and go take the vaccine, and then you're more than welcome to come in and watch the Super Bowl. And this is the way they're going to do it. Eventually, if it doesn't happen now, it'll happen later. But that's more probable, I think, than the military walking around hitting you off with it. But we can't rule that out either.
No, we can't. Right. Now with what he says, let's continue.
At exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. God. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call them left, I don't know what I call them. So you're suggesting that the head
of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slawi?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
he said it's a possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after that.
When it's generally available.
We're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up. Logistically, they're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be delivering.
This is the same man
it's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
By Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically. That was that was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up, though.
You'll have the vaccine sooner
I want to pick up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed, given the fact that...
You know something I didn't notice last night, Billy? That giant eagle, what it's tearing up, the banner it has in its mouth, says the Union and the Constitution forever while it's standing on an American flag. Did you notice that last night?
Not at all.
Look.
Circling back to it. Hold on. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I'm not a big, this isn't esoteric Johnisms, okay? But, like, what the heck?
It's
like,
there.
Really? Like, what?
Wow.
Well,
I mean, maybe they're trying to tell you something. Listen, I mean, we mentioned this in the beginning of the broadcast, but which one do you want? Pick it. It's still going to lead you to the same place. It's just, how are you getting there? How are you getting there? How comfortable are you going to be with 4 more years of Donald Trump? Or how comfortable are you going to be with a year of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris taking over for the other 3? We're still going to the same place. But people want to think that there's going to be a difference here. You and I have talked about this and how it needs to get worse before it gets better, and how maybe our only choice is that Trump wins again. If Trump wins again and does 4 more years of throwing hissy fits, people will realize that he's not who they thought they were. They thought he was. And maybe we can go back to questioning both sides and actually making some real progress. But if they put in Joe Biden, that changes everything. And listen, with Trump in, it's still going to suck. So just to put that out there, it's going to suck very much. But if they put in Joe Biden, I think it's a permanent divide. The far right will never accept Trump losing, and Trump will never accept Trump losing. And he's laid that out. He's laid out that narrative, and he's the primary pusher of that narrative. Keeps fanning the flames of division is what Trump has done. People talk about a great awakening. There is no great awakening. It is the great divide. And that's what Donald Trump is. He is the great divider. So here we go. This is what we're going to get. If Joe Biden gets in, it might be, lock, stock, and barrel. It might be over if he gets in. I don't see how we come back from that. And right now, I think Joe Biden gets in.
Yeah, I don't agree with you on that, but I could see.
I hope you're right, bro.
But hold on. I see your point, though. It could be advantageous to the world order no matter which one. And remember, the Union and the Constitution forever, you have both of them sitting on opposite sides when the Union and the Constitution is in great peril.
We're in a lot of trouble, man. I'm not looking forward to this at all, man.
No.
I don't want to see Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in office. I don't want to see Donald Trump in office. We're going to get
Mike
one
Pence. You don't forget Mike Pence, CNP's
I don't want to
golden
see
boy.
Mike Pence in office either. But I right now, if elections are on the up and up, like I said last night, I don't see how Donald Trump wins this. I don't see a road, not after last night. But let's see what they decide to do here and how they decide to play this. But I just want to remind everybody, not that you guys need reminding. I just want to remind everybody that we're going down the same road no matter who gets in. It's not going to change.
No, it won't. The world order marches on. Might be a different flavor. Things might be a little different. But it's still marching on, and it's always been.
In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed, given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it. Are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't, or
knows.
Senator
And,
Harris is saying
no,
you can't trust the scientists.
No. You can trust the scientists.
I thought Chris Wallace was only in it for Trump. I don't know. What about that picture of Trump and John Tower and Robert Maxwell and Chris Wallace's father, Mike Wallace, on the yacht? Anybody listening? People don't believe the God Emperor, you listening? Jesus.
She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be
Yes.
suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists. There's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not. They're the people. And by
I
the way,
spoke to the
and
scientists that are in
by
charge.
the way,
They will have
and
the vaccine very soon.
Let him finish.
do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market, one of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
So-
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college.
Okay, that is pretty good, though. I got to give Trump credit for that. It's pretty good.
You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Let's add this to.
It's true.
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
No,
If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See,
and it's
We're going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast.
Okay.
Look forward to talking.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these.
I thought there was a plan for us to trust, Billy.
There is a plan for us to trust. Are you not trusting it?
I'm sorry, I'm not. I guess we need to take the oath. You want to take the oath?
I do want to take the oath. I tried to get you to take the oath with me when we tore apart Wayfair, but you wouldn't do it. We would have been well into this by now, months ago.
I am not taking no oath. I swear my allegiance to God, the Father. I am not taking an oath, especially not taking Flynn's oath. But
what a fool that guy is. Listen, let me circle back to the
Yes.
smart thing here.
yes,
Trump is getting on Biden pretty good about it, right? But I don't know if you've heard interviews with Trump's niece. She claims that it's common knowledge within the Trump family that Trump paid some guy to take his SATs because he couldn't do it himself. And now with this taxes report that came out from the New York Times, they say that this guy's $400 million in debt.
fake news, fake news.
And that's exactly what he said. He goes, it's fake news. It's not real, but I'll show you the real documents to support it, is what he said, which is, let's see, I'm very interested in seeing that. But if he's really $400 million in debt, who's the president of the United States? Because it's not Donald Trump. It's whomever he owes that money to. You know, so that's another thing we need to dig down and try to find out what the hell's going on there. But he.
Now, I want to say in his defense, real quick, Billy, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I have to say.
No, you're good.
When I heard Robert Kawasaki speak at the Red Shill Expo, and Robert Kawasaki and Trump are really good friends. Of course, Robert Kawasaki, shout outs to Assemblée Vide. We did hear him threatened to kill a man there for getting a slide wrong, making a joke of how this is how we handle it in the military, and chick chick boom on the ground. But fine, whatever.
Well,
when you're a millionaire, you can say whatever you want. But
interesting.
he did say the rich, like him and like Trump, always have this floating debt, because that's how the rich work. That's how the 1% work. So it is quite possible that he's just floating his debt. And yes, he's $400 billion in the hole, but most of the world's elite are like that. Just
It's
wanna make
very
that known.
possible. No, that's also very possible. But judging from Donald Trump, you see, that's the thing between you and I. Like you, and a lot of other people do. It's not just you. Think this guy is actually a smart dude, and I don't subscribe to that point of view. I think while Donald Trump has been able to do fairly well with several things, he's very charismatic. He puts himself out, into the public view and has been able to make money that way. The new allegations are that it was The Apprentice that kept him afloat, because otherwise things were going really down the tubes for him, and it wouldn't be the first time. I remember the Trump casinos over at Atlantic City, and ultimately that all fell apart. So
and who made the loans to keep Trump afloat?
Who was it? Was it Jesus? Now
It
you
was,
put me on the spot.
it was the Rothschild banker Wilbur Ross.
No, but what was the bank? What was the bank that?
It was Wilbur Ross that kept it afloat. The bank.
There is a bank that's synonymous with Trump. It continues to bail him out over and over and over.
Deutsche Bank?
It's Deutsche Bank. Thank you very much.
But that wasn't the Wilbur Ross one, I think. That was made by Rothschild Investments, Rothschild & Co. That was who.
Jesus.
That was who bailed him out back then.
Oh, very nice. So he's owned by several different people.
Yes.
Deutsche Bank has bailed him out so many times. It's incredible. So, there's a lot of different people that own the president of the United States, and that's not a good look. But then again, every president's been owned because that's the name of the game, right? You have to have some type of compromise in order to sit in that seat, because they're not going to let anybody that's squeaky clean take the oath and be the president of the United States.
Wilbur Ross is the current Secretary of Commerce. But yes, it was Rothschild Inc. and Ross bailed him out. So, Trump's been bailed out by the Rothschilds, Deutsche Bank, whom else, So, All right, let's finish up.
All right.
Businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to
Tell
provide
that
them
to Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with the Senate, and he sits in his golf course, and literally think about it.
You probably play more than I do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact?
Well, he wants to shut down this country.
Oh yeah, people that think George Soros is behind the big boogeyman. Donald Trump has lined up 3 New York hedge funds, including money from billionaires George Soros, to invest $160 million in Chicago skyscraper.
Mm.
Oh, but and a loan from Deutsche Bank. Oh, but he's an outsider. He's our guy. No, not Soros. Not the one that's giving money to Kushner. His brother. No.
They'll find a way to flip this or just outright ignore it. If they have, that's just what they do. They'll get this type of information and walk right by it. It's like slipping on a banana peel. You pick yourself up and you keep right on going. That's what the right has become. Well, you know what? I don't even want to say Republicans. These people that are in power right now are not Republicans. These are Trumpites. Trump has managed to flip this party completely for him. And it's not this isn't a conservative party, man. It's just not. It's just all about the Trump nonsense. That's what it is now.
And GS Cripple in the chat, Sheldon Adelson owns Trump. Very true as well. Sheldon Adelson donated both the 2016 and 2020 election campaigns for Trump for president substantially. Let's not forget Sheldon Adelson either. Very true. Trump is very much in bed with the ultra-Zionists in Israel, among other factions. But yes, they're very strong ties. that no one can deny.
And,
yet,
GS Crippler.
Ivanka and Jared
says,
attended
right.
Soros parties in the Hamptons. Very true. Very true. But no, Trump's our guy. I mean, especially people who believe Soros is the biggest boogeyman, but yet Trump has numerous connections to George Soros and his family. But
George Soros is the Osama bin Laden of 2020, bro. You know,
I thought he was the Maury Strong of 2005.
Well, he's definitely Maury Strong, but most people didn't even know Maury Strong. It was Alex Jones that started to push him, and then people turned an eye to him. But just for what is it? Just figurative for the sake of that, it's he's more like a bin Laden, just because everybody knew who bin Laden was, and now everybody knows who George Soros is, you know, and he's the bad guy. He's that guy that you need to get, you know. That's what they did with George Soros now. He's the face of this nonsense.
It's not that George Soros isn't. He's just the lightning rod.
Right.
Just like Bill Gates is the lightning rod.
Agreed.
The guy behind Bill Gates is likely Warren Buffett. Me from Mark from Houston Stock Lives covered that in depth.
Well, you did it on the Fringe last Sunday.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely there. So let's finish up. Let's get what Trump starts talking about the military.
And I want to keep it open. And we did a great thing by shutting it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November 3rd.
Now, you being in New York, Cuomo did mess up New York.
Right. And it was a big political back and forth between Cuomo and Donald Trump in the early stages of the coronavirus. And they were yelling for the military to come in here. And I remember they brought that ship. I forget the name of it.
USS
It's the Mercy. Right, the Mercy. And it saw like 2 patients or something. And then they got rid of it. So, yeah, I mean, Cuomo's a piece of filth, bro. Like, what can I tell you? These are career politicians, and career politicians should not exist. These are people with the last name. Their daddy got into politics, and they got into politics because of their daddy. There's no real world experience there. So how do you expect these people to run a state or a city when they have no real experience with that state or that city? Because they're just, elite boys with the right last name. And, they've got Ivy League education, so they're well-spoken, and they can put a spell over people in order to get in. And so I wouldn't be – it shouldn't surprise anyone what happened with New York and Andrew Cuomo. But we're starting to open up now. And let's see what develops. They're not ruling out another shutdown here. I don't think it'll happen because I don't think the economy is going to be able to take it. And that's all over the United States. A shutdown would be the end of this. We may be too far gone as it is, so another shutdown would not be ideal. But I would never put it past Andrew Cuomo to do it.
Yes.
Because
it's a
I want to move on to another subject.
But those states are not doing well that are shut down right now.
Respond to that.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
the masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
no serious person said the opposite.
Well, look
serious.
at Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
He did not say the opposite.
We got a little bit more than a minute left in this segment.
Masks are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks are good. I'm okay with masks.
I want to ask you both
masks.
about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people. Outside, yeah.
Billy, did I miss the part about vaccines? I don't think I did I?
I didn't. I mean, you mean in this segment? We did talk about vaccines already.
No, but Trump talking about the military. Did I miss that?
We didn't play it, I don't think.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with...
Because nobody will show up.
People with...
That's true.
Well, it's true. Nobody shows up to his rallies.
All right. In any case, why you holding rallies, why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you not
I've done
worried
a great
about it
job
spreading
as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you
for
not
hangars,
worried about
we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issue,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see
Yes, sir.
one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. But that's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative
cheek to
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 40,000 people at these rallies.
Just quickly finish up, because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encourage them not to.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the
cares.
I think I
Gentlemen,
missed
can we
it.
move on to
Hold
the
on.
economy?
Because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan.
Wrong.
I laid out
Sir,
back
it
in
is 2
March
minutes.
exactly
it's so
what we
wrong.
should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to
You have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000. And one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country.
No,
Wait a minute.
It's his 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of you Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far more people. Far more people.
And,
you would have been.
And by the way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr.
Johnson
Fauci.
Johnson?
We trust Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer, Billy. Trump said he trusts Johnson. Do you trust Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer have your best interest?
Yes, actually, I do. Johnson & Johnson, I've been using their products since I was a kid. No, I don't. Come on. I mean, the majority of Americans don't trust this at all. They just don't want to take it. And you can't blame them. I mean, and nobody in their right mind is going to take this vaccine. No one. Well, who knows what type of propaganda, mind control they try to switch on people later on, and they go ahead and do it. But nobody in their right mind is going to take it. And quite frankly, Donald Trump isn't doing them any favors by trying to speed it up for political reasons. He's doing it for political reasons, and it's casting a shadow amongst the actual science. If the science is to be believed in the first place, Donald Trump isn't doing them any favors.
No, so let's finish.
Okay, by the way, gentlemen, let me move on to questions about the future, because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call them left, I don't know what I call them.
The head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slawi?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with him.
We did play it. I must have missed it.
He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
he said
Dr.
it's a possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after
when it's
that.
Generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up. Logistically, they're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day.
Jesus.
200,000 a day. Now, I've done the math. And it's it would take them to deliver the vaccine if they do 200,000 people a day, about 7 years. But thoughts, Billy?
Man, excuse me. Ultimately, it scares me anytime I hear the military, and I know, like, even here in New York when they went down with it, it wasn't exactly as people thought, right? But it was soft martial law here. But anytime I hear the military involved with anything, especially like distribution of vaccines, it scares the shit out of me. And that could be due to, the paranoia culture that we've all been involved in for so long. but it can also be due to the fact that we can't rule out the reality that, listen, in order for this to go down, I think we're going to have to see bodies in the streets. That's the only thing. And are they capable of that? They're absolutely capable of it.
Yeah. 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 They are. Billy Martin's in the chat, so he's against Big Pharma, but now not so much. It's very true. You know, he saved us on insulin, but all the pharmaceutical companies got a crap ton of money with the vaccine. You know what I mean, Billy? Billy, I'm losing you. There, Billy? Oh, Billy back. Sorry about that. Sometimes the internet goes bad. Trying to block you from the ringing sound of Skype. Hey, Billy, we lost you for a minute. Sorry about that. What were you saying?
I don't know where you lost me. Tell me. It doesn't matter. Listen, bottom line, nobody wants that.
No.
You know, nobody wants the military knocking at their door for whatever reason. You know, and if they're administering these things, even though, I mean, they're going to use the excuse that the military is the only one that has the capability of distributing these things in large portions. That's what they're going to say. Regardless, I just don't, I feel eerie about anything like that. So I don't want them coming to my door and asking to vaccinate any of us, you know. So I hope it doesn't get that far. And I talked a little about, you know, they'll show us bodies on the streets and people doing the Wuhan shuffle in the middle of Times Square, you know, and while we don't want that and we don't want to believe that, it's certainly a possibility. So we need to keep our eyes open and our ears open for all of this.
Yes, let's play this clip about the Army official optimistic about the COVID-19 vaccine in 2020. Oh boy, good morning, America.
Has to be prepared to respond to any unforeseen emergency and at a moment's notice. Here now to discuss the Army's response to the pandemic, Undersecretary James McPherson. Sir, thank you so much for being with us today. And what's on everybody's minds now is the vaccine. So let's talk about Operation Warp Speed, of course, a private-public partnership that the Army is a part of. And the mission here is to get a vaccine, 300 million doses of it, hopefully by the end of the year. Are we on track to meet that goal?
Right now, today, there are 34,000 soldiers, that's active duty, reserve, and National Guard, who are working diligently in our communities to protect our citizens and to assist our people. They're fighting fires out west. They're preparing for Laura and Marco to come ashore on the Gulf Coast. And most importantly, 20,000 of them, again, active, reserve, and National Guard, are directly involved in providing support to our local communities with regard to COVID-19. Not just in Operation Warp Speed and coming up with a vaccine and treatments for the virus, but in providing...
Why is the military doing any of this? What does the military have to do with pharmaceutical? This ain't CDC. All right, Billy. Say goodbye to everybody, see where they can find you.
Well, you know what the deal is, man. They're doing it because, and that's what they're going to use. They're going to use the fact that they can spread it far and wide, that they have the capabilities of doing that. But we really have to be careful. I don't know. I don't have to tell anybody here about that, about taking these vaccines, man. We really have to be careful. In particular, with one that's been rushed and probably will have no effectiveness against COVID-19. And we went over how COVID-19 may not even warrant a vaccine. So all of these things we have to keep in mind. Listen, it's Billy Ray Valentine. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you,
you guys can just Google the Infinite Fringe. You Google the Infinite Fringe, you'll find it. You know, and America Unplugged on Iconic. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, Billy. All right, bye, brother. Have a good evening. All right, we're gonna finish up here real quick. Let's finish up with some information I have.
Assistance to hospitals and nursing homes, our medical personnel, by providing protective equipment, a whole range of things that our soldiers are doing, and our people can be quite proud of them. I am quite proud of every one of them that are sacrificing time with their families, their careers, their jobs to support the American people, which is what they do. On to Operation Warp Speed. As you said, TJ, one of the leaders of that is a four-star Army General, Gus Perna. We purposely put him over there and in charge. He's can-do kind of officer. He will deliver. I'm very optimistic that we will have a vaccine and treatment very soon with regard to COVID-19. They're on track. We have medical personnel, researchers that are doing the research for Operation Warp Speed from our Army labs. We want to be sure that it is safe and effective, and we are going to do that. We need to assure the American people that they can trust what Operation Warp Speed provides as a vaccine. And as soon as...
Hey, everybody. You guys think this is a good idea in the chat? Huh? You think this is good that the military is balls deep in Operation Warp Speed and the coronavirus vaccine? Huh? You think it's a good thing? Think it's good? You know, development of the vaccine, logistics of the vaccine, distribution of the vaccine. It's good, right? It's a good thing, right? Good, it's good. Just a plan. Trump's in control, don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. Maybe all those soldiers coming back here to the United States, huh? Maybe it wasn't so peaceful after all. What if they need those soldiers for the National Guard? What if they need all those soldiers for martial law? Huh? Oh, yeah, it would never be anything like that. Trump's our guy. Oh, Trump's our guy. George Soros is the big boogeyman. And no, look, I'm not saying that Soros is not a piece of garbage and a big part of it. But it's more than him. And the whole Soros versus Trump, it's false. False. It's all false.
As soon as we get that vaccine out to the public, we'll be able to turn the corner on this COVID-19. We've already collected for logistics the method of providing the inoculations. We've obtained the little vials we're going to put the vaccine into. So we're prepared and ready as soon as our scientific community comes up with a safe and effective vaccine. We'll be pushing that out to the American people, all the American people.
And one other thing, we have to ask about readiness. I mean, this has to, COVID-19, the pandemic has to impact how you prepare, how you train, how you recruit. You all have something of a bubble, if you will, for your recruits. But give us just kind of quickly an idea of just how much it has complicated your preparedness, this pandemic.
It has complicated things, TJ, but as we say, we are ready to fight tonight. That is what our mission is, to protect this nation and its people from threats, COVID-19 being one of those threats. Earlier this year, when that pandemic hit our shores, we took a pause. We called Take a Knee. We took a knee for a brief period of time. We stopped our recruiting. We stopped our training in order to come up with a system that we knew would protect our soldiers. And we came up with this
You've never cared. The generals have never cared about their soldiers. Bullcrap.
Bubble. We put this bubble over our recruits. The moment they raise their right hand and come on active duty, that bubble follows them through their initial training, follows them through their follow-on training, follows them on to their first unit. It's interesting to note that the professional sports leagues, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, they've adopted this protective bubble concept as well that we've proven works.
That's impressive. The NBA bubble and the Army has a bubble as well. Undersecretary McPherson, really, it is really amazing what you all have been doing, and those men and women in uniform, like you said, from fires to this disaster to that disaster, and all doing in the middle of a pandemic. So we absolutely do applaud them, and thank you for your time. We hope to see you again.
Thanks, TJ.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
George Stephanopoulos. That was General James A. McPherson. Actually, he's not a general. Apologize. Rear Admiral in the Navy. He's the Undersecretary of the Army. Sworn in March 25th, 2020. So this is the Operation Warp Speed that was declassified. We'll see how big in bed the Department of Defense is, military as well, is with Operation Warp Speed. Boy. So here we have Defense Secretary Esper, or Mark Esper, was Chief of Staff at the Heritage Foundation. Member of the Council for National Policy, and Vice President of Government Relations at Raytheon. Oh. Mark Esper really sounds like our guy, right, chat? Oh, really our guy, huh? And he's at the same level of this organization chart as Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar. Of course, Alex Azar is also in bed with the right part of the world order as well. But look, they write next to each other. They have equal power. So you have the breakdown. You have General Perna, Chief Operating Officer, reports to Secretary Esper. Then you have DoD Security and Assurance. There's DoD Security and Assurance for the vaccine for what? Then you have DoD Supply Production and Distribution. Why is the DoD dealing with production? Okay. Sure. But look who's under DoD Secretary and Assurance McCurry. Deputy S.A. Jared Kushner. And all of these... Why is it Jared Kushner on the civilian side of things? Why is Kushner on the military army side of things? Oh, man. Ooh! Kushner's in the military, not the civilian military. And under him is Operation Sec West, Cyber. Look at all this. This isn't, Kushner talking about therapeutics or drugs to treat COVID-19 or vaccines. No, he's handling military relations, Operation Security. Why isn't he handling the other stuff? Why? What? Am I missing something here? Chabad Luovich is main guy? Really? Huh. Okay, sure, trust the plan. Sounds good. Well, that's interesting. Chief Advisor Dr. Monsef Salui is reporting to a general, McQueen, or an admiral, or at least someone in the military. I shouldn't say general, let's put general there. So someone in the military, he's reporting to someone named McQueen. So Health and Human Services pretty much talking to the military. Kushner's working for the military. Now we have therapeutics over here. We have FDA Woodcock, Department of Defense Biggerstaff. So the Department of Defense is handling drugs. Of course, the drugs break down by the companies that are producing the drugs, and the plasma, because they're making plasma antibodies down here. And then you have the vaccine. Interestingly enough, the vaccine is not connected to the military directly in this chart. Why? That's weird. You think it would be. Whatever. And then you have the various producers of the vaccine. So every time you see green, that's Army. Every time you see light green, that's Army civilian. Every time you see purple, it's joint. Every time you see tan, it's joint civilization. Every time you see orange, it's Department of Defense. Every time you see this blue right here, it's non-DOD. You know that military. Oh boy. That sounds good to me. Trust the plan. Your document reveals scope and structure of Operation Warp Speed and underscores vast military involvement. Oh boy. This is where I got the chart from. It's just so interesting. The operation has, Mango told Stat the operation has key personal information under wraps out of concerns for the security of entire vaccine supply chain, from the warehouse storing the vaccines to the computer systems being used to coordinate the effort. Put this in the chat so you guys can read it. It's a very interesting article. There's one part that I wanted to read. Try to find it. One part they were talking about pretty much the government's involvement in it. BARDA appears to be fronting a large chunk of the funding of the vaccine or initiative. That would be the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority and the Health and Human Services. So that's interesting. But there's one little part. I'm trying to find it. One part in here I want to read where the Army was like, oh yeah, well, our logistics is here just because we have to get it into like very cold sub-zero temperatures. It's like, oh yeah, okay, well, pretty sure that's why the only reason why the military is involved, sure, whatever. It's in this article, I remember reading it, but I can't find it right now. But it's in there somewhere. Here we have the Atlantic Council doing their Commander series. And, oh, look, it's Mark Esper. Oh, boy. Mark Esper speaking to the Atlantic Council. He's the one of the current people charge of Operation Warp Speed. He is Trump's acting Secretary of Defense.
Good morning, everyone.
So let's see what he says about the Atlantic Council. Does he say, I hate you guys? You guys are part of the globalist world order. Screw you.
Thank you, Chris, for that introduction. Really appreciate your words. It's great to be back here at the Atlantic Council, and it's nice to see so many familiar faces out there in the crowd. I feel like I'm back home in some ways. Today we are going to talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, our guy. People, Atlantic Council is very important to study. One of the huge think tanks, one of the modern think tanks that combines both the right and the left of the world order. Esper's like, oh, I'm back with family. A lot of people here back with family, back again. Head of Operation Warp Speed. Really God for us to trust, right? Big part of the Heritage Foundation. Raytheon. Oh, our guy. Yeah, okay, my bad. Here's Trump. Oh, look, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. I wonder what that is. The Global Vaccine Summit 2020 comments are turned off and likes and dislikes are turned off. Let's see what Trump says about Gavi. I mean, Gavi's in bed with George Soros and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So, of course, Trump's going to talk crap about Gavi, right? I mean, come on. He's against both of them. Am I right?
Gavi operates with great transparency, and Boris Johnson is somebody with tremendous...
Oh, wait, hold on.
Gavi operates with great transparency.
Oh, let me please play that again.
Gavi operates with great transparency. Gavi operates with great transparency, and Boris Johnson is somebody with tremendous respect for you and everything you do. He called, he said, you think you could do something maybe around the Oval Office or right by the Oval Office? I said, why not? It happens to be right behind me. As the coronavirus has shown, there are no borders. It doesn't discriminate. It's mean, it's nasty, but we're going to all take care of it together. It's great to be partnering with you. We will work hard. We will work strong. Send my regards to Boris, and good luck. Let's get the answer.
Gavi brings together the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and World Bank. But wait, I thought we held funding. I thought we hold funding about the World Health Organization. Oh no. Oh no. I thought Trump held funding against the World Health Organization. But wait, we're working with a partnership with Gavi and funding them too. But I don't. It's conflicting statements. I can't handle it. Location: Geneva, Switzerland. The neutral state. Open Society Foundation's on Twitter. And Open Society Foundation's George Soros has donated to Gavi. Gavi, a public-private partnership, has positioned itself as the best solution to ensure coronavirus vaccine is accessible to all. Once it confronts the monopolies, it's creating a two-tier system that will leave the global south behind. Of course, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation pledged $750 million to set up Gavi in 1999. The foundation is a Gavi key partner in a vaccine market shaping. But I thought that Trump was against George Soros. I thought that George Soros hates Trump. I thought that Bill and Melinda Gates hated Trump. I thought Trump is a god emperor. He knows everything, but he keeps constantly getting duped and falls in with the wrong crowd. Did you guys see that Jenna Haspel is blocking the information about Crossfire Hurricane coming out? Trump's appointed CIA director who was pro waterboarding and torture. Oh, okay. Oops. Oh, man. How many times is the world's most smartest 4D chess God Emperor Trump be fooled by the world order? Please, chat. I would love to know. But nah. Trump's our guy. And just because I say that I'm not voting, that all makes me a godless commie liberal. Might as well vote for Biden. Might as well, huh? That's what everybody tells me. Might as well vote for Biden. Exactly, Dodger. Trust the damn plan. Take the oath. American exceptionalism. Tired of it. I am a Christian conservative. I have many beliefs that are on the right. Some that are considered left that shouldn't be. I'm very anti-war. I'm non-interventionalist. I'm pro the environment, though I think that the climate change argument is a limited hangout. I'm anti-abortion. Pro-First Amendment. Pro-Second Amendment. Anti-illegal immigration. But I get called a godless liberal commie because I don't support the God Emperor on a daily basis because the truth movement has been fractured by a false dialectic. You're either with Trump or you're not. If you're not with Trump, you're with Biden. I say fuck them both. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of getting labeled these things. I'm tired that the truth movement is divided. I'm tired that we're at each other's throats. I'm tired that it may spill all over to a civil war. There's no reconciliation. It's a damn shame. You got a month left. You got about a month left until things really might hit the fan. Who knows? Maybe there will be reconciliation after the election. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. You got about a month left. I had to get that out. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Maybe I should have just. I don't know. Sometimes I think you might as well just stop. Spend whatever time I have left. My family. I don't know. Never thought I would be saying that. I thought we perpetual would just be in this crap forever. I don't know. Whatever happens after this election isn't going to be good. I can tell you that much. Doesn't matter who wins. We are a world divided. We are a nation divided. We are a people divided. And cannot stand and will not stand. You know, we were always taught in the truth movement. That would be us versus the 1% in the final battle. You know, us versus the Blue Helmets, the United Nations. Whoever decides to invade us, fighting for the world elite. But no. No, that was a lie they told us. The color revolutions in the streets. No, it's going to be us. It's going to be us versus each other. It's going to be the 99% fighting each other while the 1% just laughs. Just laughs and laughs and laughs. We're at each other's throats. We're even at each other's throats in a truth movement. And I pray to God the Father, in Jesus' name, that's not what happens. That God has mercy on us as a country and on our souls. But what you're going to end up with in this division, if it happens, you're going to have bloodshed. People used to try to find common ground no matter how much they had disagreements. We don't anymore. We don't. People will be applauding if Trump wins the election. The progressives will be applauding the burning of the cities. And if Biden wins the election and Trump tries to hold power as God Emperor, and the 3%ers, various militia groups, the Proud Boys, I really don't think the Proud Boys are really going to be able to do anything in their flannel shirts, but fine, whatever. When they're activated, keep God Emperor in control because he's not going to relinquish it. They're going to be fighting the color revolution people, fighting the left in the streets. And the left aren't trained for this. The militia's been training for 60, 80 years. They'll be slaughtered. Americans will be slaughtered. Please, does anybody see any way this stops? Any way there's any reconciliation? Maybe I'm just sad. I don't know. We have to find some way to come together. We have to. If we don't, it's it. We've had so many people these past 4 years stop talking to family members just because they have ideological differences. Because they've been pushed to the extremes so far that we have hate for our fellow brothers and hate for our fellow man. I don't want this for this country. Not like this. Everybody's been played. The progressives, the conservatives, the right and the left. They've been played. They've all been whipped out and driven to a frenzy. At least we'll see Bill Barr in a patent helmet, Leather crop. See that. Try to reach out. If you shunned a family member, no matter what side of the political spectrum you are, try to reach out to that family member and try to build some common ground and try to see it the way they see you, even if it's not the same as you. No, it's not easy. It really isn't. At least try. Start there. Try with your neighbors. Just try. I know I got a small audience. It ain't like it's going to change anything, but least we can do. It's the least we can do. Maybe there's hope. Maybe I just don't see it. Maybe I'm just 1:15 p.m. on a Thursday, October the 1st. Yeah, I'm just sad. But that's all I got this evening. There's people in my own personal life who are progressives. And I'm able to have relationships with them even though ideologically we completely disagree. Oswald, it says in the Bible that you're supposed to respect thy mother and thy father. It goes to your grandparents too, bud. If we don't start reconciliating, this nation is done. They have won. So when there's violence out in the streets and you're shooting your neighbor, just remember that. Just remember that. American citizens versus American citizens. How the second Civil War started 2020. And I'm not talking about, I guess one last thing is, I'm not talking about that you go back to people who treat you toxic in your own personal lives. Okay, try reconciliation. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about if you just disagree on abortion, you just leave it alone. That's what I'm saying. That's all. There's two different things. Two completely different things. You know, if someone's a completely toxic person, you cut them out. But if you're just having disagreements over political ideologies, just agree to disagree and move on. We used to do that more. We don't do that now. Jesus Christ, Iverson said that we're supposed to love our enemy. That's how you reconcile with people that you consider to be wicked and evil. I'll close with this. People that say that you can't reconcile. Matthew 5:43-48 from the New American Standard Bible. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sets rains on the righteous and the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? If you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Therefore you are to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Love your enemy. I know it's difficult, trust me. We all fall to the flesh. But if you do not do that, you are directly going against the teachings of Jesus Christ. You are directly going against God. You may not accept what your enemies do. You may not accept the evil. God himself turns away from sin. But that does not mean that you have hate in your heart and let it consume you for those who are against you. This is one of the toughest things that human beings have to learn. And I know I'm not perfect at it either. I could never figure out why someone could forgive someone who murdered a member of their family. I could never. Someone did that to someone in my family. I would always think I would return in kind, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. I would kill the person. No. Practice eye for an eye. Eventually the whole world becomes blind. I understand it now. Get it? All right, everybody. It does, Dodger. You're talking about Romans 10. I do pray for Trump. But there is the argument, too, that there's a difference between kings and an elected president as well. The Romans 10 argument. Try to be better to one another. Try your best. It's not easy. I know it isn't. That's all I'm saying for tonight. As Bill Cooper used to say, have a good evening.